Right, so over history, video games have changed in terms of the formats that they come in. Obviously, you started with, physical games, which, you'd plug into your console or, you'd put a disc in, whatever. And then, sort of over time, we've developed what's called digital games, where essentially you can just download it directly to your console. And, like, it makes sense, like you don't have to worry about, going to store, waiting for the game to get posted to you. You can just buy it, download it, voila, you start playing. But it does have its issues. Obviously, you have to download it, and the device needs to be able to download it, which you need the space for it because a lot of companies have a tendency to not optimize their console, their games properly. Like you'll sometimes see like how much to download this, and it'll be like over 100 gigabytes. Like seriously, couldn't optimize that better. Personally, I'm the kind of person that prefers physical copies. I prefer, like, if I can get a game, I like to get it physically. Case in point. But there has been sort of a rise in the last 10 years, well, sort of last 15 years of essentially cloud-based gaming, where essentially, rather than having the game being processed and displayed on your console, they instead take the console and they put it remotely, essentially in a server. And the idea is that it broadcasts the video footage direct to your screen. So essentially, it's like live streaming. Well, it's sort of in a way like Netflix where you're streaming a movie, except you're streaming the video game. So today I wanted to actually look at a couple of the ones that I actually own. Now, it should be noted, I didn't buy these like when they came out. I've never actually used them. I just wanted to collect them because I thought, it's a good little bit of history. So, firstly, released back in 2010, we have the Onlive game system. Now, not too many people probably heard about this. You'll probably hear about the other one I'm going to talk about, which you would have seen in the title. But yeah, Onlive, this is an independent company. The idea was being that you could stream your game. They had like their dedicated server which would run the game for you, and they would stream the video to your screen. Now, the idea was that this actually did have, essentially it was like an sort of a client, so sort of an application that you'd have on like certain screens and that. But they also had this, which is an online game system. So this was essentially a dedicated game system which could so let's say if you didn't have like a smart TV, because smart TVs even back in 2010 weren't that prevalent. You tend to play something like this probably more on a computer and mobile phones as well. They did have quite a lot of compatibility with a lot of computers and phones. So they did also create this, which is essentially a dedicated game system you could plug to your TV. So let's have a look at this. So and in it you got one Onlive controller. So it looks like it takes sort of similarities to, I guess, the PlayStation controller, because the thumbsticks here are sort of down the bottom, because usually Xbox is here. So and then you got D-pad, face buttons, usually that. What's the connection here? It's micro USB. I do have a dedicated battery pack. This skin definitely reminds me more of like an Xbox controller. Interesting enough, it's got sort of, I guess this is for like video playback, so maybe it was an optional streaming thing, or maybe the controller was had sort of dual functions where you could use it to play video or whatever. And then you had this bad boy, which would obviously connect up. So you got your Ethernet ports, so you get your internet in, HDMI out, optical, audio, USB 3. That's is it what is that? Oh no, it's AV. Sorry. There's a power. So this would essentially be the game system you would hook up. It's very small, but that's obviously because this isn't processing the game. The game is being processed in the server that Onlive own. This is all it is doing. It's receiving the signal from the internet and then broadcasting that to your screen. And also, obviously connecting up with your controller. So as you can see, got AC. So AC there, LAN, HDMI. Straightforward enough. Look, CTV. Then, of course, you go in here, so you got all your necessary cables. Oh, there's a couple of batteries, apparently. So then you got this. Was this for Onlive, or is this just a random one they have? Oh, so this might just be a random one they have in here, or they ever put it in here. I never actually checked if there were batteries in here or not. Let's have a look. No, it looks like we got... Oh, no. So this is the battery. So, yeah, it's one of those... Okay, so it has a solid battery. Yeah, there's the AC adapter. Now, okay, you may notice with this plug. So here's the thing. This was never officially released in Australia. It was based in the US. Did get a release in the UK. They planned to go to other areas of Europe, but they ultimately never did. And yeah, so I actually had to get this imported from the US. I will say it wasn't very expensive. I get the feeling this... I think it had higher... More money was spent on postage than I think the actual, like, the actual console itself. But yeah, I thought this is a good thing to own. Yeah, the ultimate issue of Onlive at the time was, unfortunately, it was the issue you'd expect, and that was obviously the latency. There was sort of issues with getting it, even if you had a reliable internet connection, it still wasn't perfect. So yeah, unfortunately, after a couple of years, I think they did a bunch of layoffs and they sold the company. They tried to relaunch, but ultimately it failed. And they actually ended up selling to Sony, of all people. And yeah, a lot of their technology was integrated into the PSN network. So not the worst, not the worst fate for them, because at the very least, this, you know, they were made into something else. Now, this one, on the other hand, was done a few years later, and I've dropped it, of course. Sorry, the ass fell out as soon as I tried to move it. So yeah, Google Stadia. Yeah, so this is called the Founders Edition. So now this one actually seemed like it made a lot more sense, because that's the thing. Onlive was essentially like sort of an independent company. I think they partnered up with like companies like AT&T and that. But yeah, Google, like, this makes a lot more sense because, like, you know Google, like, massive data centers. And so you think, they'd have massive processing. And, like, they advertise that too, they would have more processing than, the current top consoles combined and all this. So, yeah, this was actually... I also bought this just shortly after the Google the Stadia services went down. So let's check this one out. So and straight away, you got another controller. Again, I just realized that it's near identical to the Onlive one. I think there are more buttons up here, and you obviously got your Stadia home button. But yeah, same thing. You got two joysticks, buttons, D-pad, triggers. This time though, you got USB Type-C, which makes sense considering the Pixel. I think it started with USB Type-C as standard. I'd have to double check that, but yeah. So that's interesting. And so inside you have, so you got your cable, which connected to, I think it's got the adapter. Oh yeah, here's the, oh yeah, this one's actually, okay, Ethernet cord. Oh, I didn't realize this is actually an American specific one as well. I don't think there's actually anything, yeah, this adapter doesn't, well, that's interesting. So yeah, this one's an American one too. But yeah, I bought this in Australia, so I don't know how this one came to America. And yeah, so then there's this. So this is a Chromecast Ultra. So this was actually, oh, look at that. Magnetized. So yeah, this one was a lot more simplistic because as is, yeah, you just plug this Chromecast in and yeah, look at that HDMI. And yeah, you just hook it up to this and yeah, you'd be able to access Google Stadia from this. So, what went wrong with this one? This one had a few interesting problems. One, again, there was still an internet issue. Even if the internet was really, really good, yeah, it just wouldn't work, apparently. It's just one of those issues. Additionally, they, I think the other problem was, like, I just don't think Google really thought this through properly. It just feels like there was a lot of, like, they were really impressed by all the tech and everything, but they never really invested in where it mattered most, and that was with the games. That's, that was the thing. Like, they barely, like, I think they acquired one studio. Like, they didn't acquire anything big. Didn't develop any games, I don't think, for it. They did have some like time exclusives, but yeah, they never actually probably did it. And so yeah, this one lasted what, 2 years? I think it was. Yeah, about just over 2 years, I think it was. And yeah, so it's about 3 years actually. But yeah, same as before. I said I bought this after it shut, but yeah, I think it's a good sort of collector's item. At least the beauty is you can still technically use all this stuff, because I think, yeah, Chromecast, it's a Chromecast, you could in theory use it. The beauty of the controllers is that you can actually use these, because after Google shut down everything, they actually did do some pretty good goodwill. You could actually, they would buy back all this stuff, if you're a customer. And yeah, they actually did a software update for, well, I guess it'd be firmware technically. They did an update on the controller itself, and it actually unlocks it and just makes it a standard Bluetooth controller. So you can actually still use this controller if you want to, which is actually a pretty good thing. But regardless, it didn't do too well. So, I don't know, I just wanted to show these because I just find it interesting, like, just to have, well, essentially dead consoles, because like that doesn't work. Like, I can technically use the stuff in here, but it's like, it's still technically dead consoles. So, that's like for what you want it for, like for Stadia. Can't use that anymore. Regardless, I think it's a sort of an interesting bit of history about cloud gaming. It's sort of like showcasing what it became, how it failed, and like, do I think cloud gaming will eventually get there? I think so, but it's still going to be a lot of issues, like, because like you got the issue of the internet, like you need that stable internet connection in order to get this to work. And this thing, even with the most stable internet, like it doesn't always work. And not to mention, like, we talk about our internet speeds and that, ours are slow and all that, and there's a running joke in Australia about our slow internet, but not every country even has as good an internet as us, Like, as I said, this was released in the US and UK only. This did get released in several countries, but again, it was still limited by where it could be released. And ultimately, that's another issue as well. And I think, if they want to get this right, it's also about the games as well. I feel like it would be less something like these, where it's sort of a company coming in and doing this themselves. And I feel like probably one of the pre-existing companies would be doing something like this. And there's a lot of them that are doing these kind of online services with like streaming and that. So I feel like one of them will probably eventually get it. But as I said, with the amount of data, like, it takes just to stream something like this, and how expensive that can be depending on your internet plan. Like, I think it could be a problem. But regardless, it's still nice to have these servers a reminder. And as I said, it's a good little addition to the collection, even if I technically definitely can't use this. So yeah, that will go. See you next Mauya. Oh well.